You know that feeling, right? That afternoon slump hits, your eyelids feel like lead, and all you want is another coffee or maybe something sugary just for that quick
Oh,
fix.
definitely. We've all been there.
But then maybe an hour later, you just crash even harder. And it makes you wonder, why does stress make us feel so incredibly tired? And, what can we actually do about it that lasts longer than that sugar rush?
It's such a common experience, isn't it?
Mm,
We tend to think of stress as, well, all in the head. But the physical effects, especially on our energy, they're really significant.
yeah. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today on the deep dive. We've got a whole stack of material here, health articles, expert viewpoints, all sorts of stuff, to really unpack this connection between feeling stressed and feeling completely drained.
Right. The mission today is to look at the why behind that stress-induced fatigue. And then, importantly, explore some actually surprisingly simple ways to genuinely recharge and replenish your energy, not just, papering over the cracks.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding how to fight fatigue right at its source, using these insights we've gathered. It's about getting underneath the symptoms.
Exactly. Addressing the root cause.
Okay, so let's unpack this first. The stress-energy connection itself. When we talk about stress, what's actually happening inside our bodies?
So fundamentally, stress is your body's natural automatic response. It's reacting to a demand or even just a perceived threat. It's basically an alarm system. It's designed to get you ready for fight or flight.
Okay, like an old survival mechanism?
Precisely. Imagine you're walking down the street, maybe looking at your phone, and suddenly this big dog runs out and starts barking like crazy right at you.
Yeah, okay, heart pounds immediately.
The jolt, that's the system kicking in, your heart leaps, right? That's it starting up.
Right, and that involves a physical rush of hormones, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. The body releases a cascade of hormones. Adrenaline is usually the first one on the scene. That's the instant surge, makes your heart race, blood pressure goes up, pumps energy to your muscles so you can react like now.
The get me out of here juice.
Totally. And then there's cortisol. People often call it the main stress hormone. Cortisol is interesting because its role is more about sustained readiness, keeping you alert over a slightly longer period.
Sustained readiness, okay. How does it do that?
It increases the glucose, the sugar, in your bloodstream. That makes sure your brain and muscles have plenty of fuel. And it also temporarily dials down systems that aren't essential for immediate survival, things like digestion, or even parts of your immune response.
Wow, so it's really efficient for handling a short-term crisis.
Incredibly effective for escaping that barking dog, yes.
But what happens when the dog is always barking, metaphorically speaking? When the stress isn't just a sudden scare, but it's, well, your daily life, your job, money worries, relationship stuff.
And that's the crux of the problem. That whole system, the fight or flight response, is designed to be short-term. Once the danger passes, the hormone levels are supposed to drop and everything goes back to normal, back to baseline.
But with chronic stress.
With chronic stress, that threat, whether it's real or perceive those deadlines, the worries, it just never seems to fully go away. So the alarm system stays switched on, or at least it gets triggered over and over again very easily.
So your body is just stuck in this high alert mode, constantly.
Pretty much, yeah. This continuous activation, this prolonged exposure to adrenaline and cortisol, it starts to mess with almost every system in your body. Your body never really gets that chance to fully recover, to reset.
And that's what drains you.
That's exactly it. This constant state of alert, it depletes your physical, mental, and emotional resources over time. It literally drains your battery. That's the biological reason you can feel utterly exhausted even if you haven't, run a marathon.
And this can lead to something we hear so much about now, burnout. Is burnout just like extreme stress, or is it different?
It's related, deeply related, but there's a distinction. Think of chronic stress as the engine running way too hot for way too long. Burnout is when that engine finally seizes up. It's generally described as a state of severe exhaustion, physical, mental, and emotional, that comes from all that accumulated long-term unresolved stress.
Okay. So it's like the end stage of being chronically stressed out.
Often, yes. The key difference you often see with burnout is feelings of deep cynicism, feeling detached from everything, maybe hopeless, and just a profound inability to function effectively anymore.
Whereas with stress, you might still be pushing through.
Right. With stress, you might feel overwhelmed, anxious, tired, but you can often still engage, still push yourself. With burnout, you really hit a wall. You feel so depleted you just can't cope or engage anymore. And it usually builds up gradually. It sort of sneaks up on you until the system just feels shut down.
Okay, so chronic stress is this relentless drain, potentially leading to burnout. Let's zoom in a bit more on how it specifically wipes out your energy. Fatigue being a major symptom makes perfect sense now.
Oh, it's absolutely central. Fatigue isn't just a side effect. It's often a defining symptom of both chronic stress and that emotional exhaustion that builds up. And we're not just talking about feeling a bit sleepy. It can be this debilitating, bone-deep exhaustion that affects everything you do.
Yeah, one perspective we saw looking at conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome really highlighted this vicious cycle, how stress makes everything feel harder when your coping reserves are already low.
That's such a crucial point. When your system is already running on fumes because of chronic stress or an ongoing illness, even small, everyday tasks can feel overwhelming, like climbing a mountain. Your usual resilience, your ability to just roll with things, it's diminished.
So a minor stressor can suddenly feel huge.
Exactly. Something that normally wouldn't bother you can suddenly trigger major anxiety, maybe overwhelm you completely, even mess with your sleep. And of course, poor sleep just drains you even further.
And the fatigue itself, just being chronically stressed or ill, that becomes another huge stressor, right? It feeds back into itself.
Yeah. Yes. That's the really cruel part of the cycle. You lose ability. You feel frustrated, maybe worthless, helpless because you can't do what you used to. You lose motivation. All of that creates more stress, which in turn drains even more energy. It's a powerful negative feedback loop that can feel incredibly hard to break out of.
Wow. It's a really potent mix of biology and psychology. But okay, the good news, and this really came through in the materials, is that while stress hits hard, there are concrete things, often surprisingly simple things, we can do to push back and rebuild that energy. So let's dive into those simple hacks to recharge. First up, mind-body techniques.
Yeah, these are often the most accessible tools, even when you feel completely wiped out. Let's start with breathing. It sounds almost too basic, doesn't it?
Right, like we do it automatically.
And that's kind of the point. When we're stressed, our breathing often gets shallow and quick, mostly up in the chest. That actually signals to the body that there's still danger, which can keep anxiety levels high. So these techniques focus on breathing intentionally, deeply, like deep breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, focusing on filling your belly with air, not just your upper chest.
Belly breathing, yeah. I've heard that actually helps calm the nervous system, stimulates the vagus nerve or something. It's not just about oxygen, it's sending a calming signal back to your brain.
Precisely. That's the key insight. You're actively using your breath to shift your nervous system out of that fight or flight mode and into a more relaxed rest and digest state.
Cool. What else?
Well, there's breath focus. That's where you combine the deep breathing with a mental image. Maybe imagining calm or peace flowing in with each inhale and tension or stress flowing out with each exhale.
Okay.
Or equal time breathing. Super simple, just counting your inhales and exhales to make sure they're roughly the same length. It helps regulate your breathing rhythm, which is very calming.
And progressive muscle relaxation. I saw a note about a modified version for when you're really tired.
Yes, the traditional way involves tensing muscle groups, then releasing them. But if you're already exhausted, tensing might feel like too much effort. So the modified version focuses more gently on just noticing and releasing any tension you find as you exhale, sort of scanning through your body. It's less about creating tension and more about letting go of what's already there.
Makes sense.
And there's even one called the modified lion's breath. It involves a more forceful exhale, maybe with a HA sound. It can feel surprisingly good for just releasing pent-up frustration or energy.
And the great thing is, these techniques, they only take a few minutes, right? You can do them almost anywhere.
Absolutely. They give you a practical tool to interrupt that stress cycle right when you feel it building.
Okay, so beyond just the breath, what other relaxation practices were mentioned?
Things like gentle yoga, meditation, maybe getting a massage if that's possible for you. The underlying goal for all of these is to cultivate a sense of peace and calm in both your mind and body.
And finding what works for you is key, I imagine.
Hugely important. It has to resonate with you. Maybe it's a guided meditation app. Maybe it's just sitting quietly and focusing on your senses. Maybe it's prayer or creative visualization. Even very gentle, low-impact movement like Tai Chi or some forms of Pilates, if you pace yourself really carefully, can be deeply relaxing and restorative.
I like that hobbies and just plain fun were included here. It makes it feel less like another chore you have to do.
It really does, and that's crucial. Doing things you genuinely enjoy isn't frivolous. It's a powerful stress buffer. Getting lost in a good book, listening to music you love, watching a funny movie, painting, gardening, whatever your absorbing hobby is, these things actively shift your brain state. They give your mind a rest and genuinely recharge your spirit.
And laughter. That got a specific mention too, even just smiling.
Yes, because humor and laughter trigger endorphins, those natural feel-good chemicals in your body, which directly counteract stress hormones. And there's even research suggesting that simply making yourself smile can nudge your mood in a more positive direction. It really shows that powerful mind-body link.
There was that great quote mentioned, laugh and the world laughs with you. Sigh and the world is gray.
Exactly. There's real wisdom in that for managing your energy day to day.
Mindfulness also fits in here, doesn't it? Focusing on the present moment.
It does. Mindfulness is all about intentionally bringing your awareness to right now without judgment. This practice helps quiet down that relentless loop of racing thoughts that fuels so much stress and anxiety.
And it doesn't have to be formal meditation, right?
Not at all. It can be taking mindful moments throughout your day, really paying attention to the taste and texture of your food, noticing the sensation of your feet on the floor as you walk, or taking that mindful walk, especially out in nature if possible, just tuning into the sights and sounds around you. Even short bursts of this can start to counteract the immediate effects of stress.
Okay, so engaging the mind, using simple physical actions like breathing powerful tools. Let's switch gears to fueling the body, because energy, well, it has to come from somewhere, literally.
Absolutely. Your body is this incredibly complex machine, and it desperately needs the right fuel to run well, especially when it's under stress. Your brain, particularly, is a huge energy consumer. It relies heavily on glucose. If your blood sugar dips too low, that directly causes that foggy-headed, depleted feeling.
So that tired, can't think straight feeling isn't just in your head, it's a physical lack of fuel, too. It's very physical. And eating a balanced diet is fundamental, not just for general health, but specifically for supporting your digestion, improving your sleep quality, and boosting your energy levels when you're dealing with stress. Focusing on nutrient-dense foods gives your body the actual building blocks it needs to function well and recover.
What were the key nutrients highlighted for fighting that stress-induced fatigue?
Okay, so protein is crucial for repairing tissues, building muscle. Complex carbohydrates are non-negotiable. They're the brain's preferred energy source and provide sustained energy, unlike simple sugars that lead to crashes.
Right.
Healthy fats are also a really important energy source, and they help with hormone production. Iron is critical. Low iron leads to anemia, and a major symptom of that is profound fatigue. And of course, fluids. Dehydration, even mild dehydration, has a massive impact on your energy levels and your ability to think clearly.
Got it. Any specific food examples that came up? Yeah, things like slow-burning carbs, like oatmeal for breakfast. The fiber keeps you feeling full and provides steady energy. Almonds or peanuts are great snacks. Healthy fats, plus magnesium and folate, which are both really important for energy metabolism and handling stress.
Good fats, like fish.
Exactly. Fatty fish like salmon, also nuts, seeds, avocado, olive oil, all excellent sources of those healthy fats. And for snacks, the suggestion was often to pair protein with complex carbs. Think like a banana with peanut butter, or maybe some Greek yogurt with berries and a sprinkle of granola.
And it seems how you eat matters just as much as what you eat.
It really does. Eating regularly is key for keeping your blood sugar stable, avoiding those energy peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
The advice was often to eat within about an hour of waking up, and then maybe every 3 hours or so after that.
Listening to your body, too.
Yes, learning to tune into your actual hunger and fullness cues, rather than just eating by the clock or out of habit. And a really practical point, especially when you're exhausted. Make it easy on yourself.
How so?
Have healthy snacks ready to go. Prep simple meals ahead of time if you can. And, importantly, don't feel bad about asking for help. If friends or family can help with meals when you're feeling really depleted, let them. Taking the stress out of cooking is actually a form of self-care in itself.
That's such a compassionate point. When you're that tired, even deciding what to make for dinner can feel like a monumental effort.
Precisely. Fueling yourself shouldn't add more stress to your plate.
Okay, fueling sorted. What about movement and activity? This is another one that feels kind of counterintuitive when you're exhausted, but exercise is so often called a natural energy booster.
It absolutely feels like the last thing you want to do when you're wiped out, but the evidence is really clear. Physical activity is incredibly effective. When you move your body, you get oxygen-rich blood circulating more efficiently to your heart, your muscles, and importantly, your brain. That improved circulation and oxygen delivery is inherently energizing.
So the key isn't necessarily intense workouts, but consistency, even small amounts.
Exactly that. You don't need to go run a marathon. Just regularly incorporating even 10 minutes of activity can make a difference in maintaining better energy levels over time. And walking definitely counts. Any movement is better than none.
And finding ways to integrate it into your day, not just scheduling a separate workout.
Yeah, that's a great strategy, particularly when energy is low. Maybe pace around when you're on a phone call. Take the stairs instead of the elevator if you can manage it. Put on some music and have a quick dance break. Just look for opportunities to weave movement into the fabric of your day.
Even sunlight got a mention.
It did. Apparently, just a few minutes of natural sunlight exposure can boost your mood, help with memory, even improve learning. And if you're stuck inside, just opening the blinds or curtains can make a difference. Sunlight helps regulate our internal clock, our circadian rhythm, which is essential for good sleep and energy patterns.
Okay, next up, the power of connection, social support. How does leaning on other people help manage energy?
Well, emotions can be surprisingly contagious, can't they? Spending time with friends who are generally upbeat and positive can genuinely give you a lift, boost your mood, and, consequently, your energy.
And the opposite is true too, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes. Being around people who are consistently negative or draining can really sap your energy reserves dry.
So choosing your company wisely is part of it, and actually reaching out.
That's the core message. Foster those healthy friendships. Make time to talk, really talk, with friends and family. Sharing your worries, your frustrations, it really does help lighten the load. It stops those stressful thoughts from just circling endlessly in your own head, which is incredibly exhausting.
It's that old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Something like that, yeah. And support networks become even more critical if you're dealing with chronic stress or long-term illness. Just feeling understood, feeling validated and supported by others provides huge emotional resilience. And that translates directly into having more energy to cope. If you feel isolated, the sources even suggested practical things like talking to a pet, or even just recording your thoughts out loud to process them.
And support groups.
Support groups, whether they're in-person or online communities, can be invaluable. Connecting with other people who truly get what you're going through offers a unique kind of validation and energy boost.
Okay, this all sounds like really powerful self-care, building resilience from the inside out. But sometimes the stress is external, it feels overwhelming, or maybe you're just too deep in it to implement these things alone. Which brings us to actively managing the stressors themselves and knowing when it's time to get professional help.
Right. The absolute first step has to be acknowledging and identifying what is actually causing the stress. You can't really manage something if you don't even recognize it.
Right.
Sometimes just the simple act of writing it all down, making a list, can be incredibly clarifying. It takes that big amorphous cloud of everything is stressful and breaks it down into smaller, more concrete pieces.
And once you have that list, you can start to organize and prioritize.
Exactly. Look at the list. What's truly essential right now? What can wait? Is there anything you can delegate to someone else? Is there anything you can just stop doing? Eliminate tasks that aren't actually necessary or aren't serving you well.
Taking breaks, too, that was mentioned.
Crucial. Taking regular short breaks throughout the day helps prevent that feeling of being constantly swamped and overwhelmed. And sometimes you have to look at the source. If a major stressor, like a really toxic job, is fundamentally draining you day after day, it might be time to explore addressing that source directly, if at all possible. Maybe changing roles, maybe looking for a different environment entirely.
And then there's seeking professional help. When does that step become necessary?
Honestly, you should never hesitate if you feel like you need it. If you're really struggling to develop coping skills on your own, or if the stress is significantly impacting your daily life, maybe causing persistent anxiety, signs of depression, or really severe sleep problems, it's time to reach out.
What kind of help?
Counseling or therapy can be incredibly beneficial. Things like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, helps you identify and challenge those negative thought patterns that fuel stress. Or ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, which is more about accepting difficult feelings while still taking action towards what you value. These therapies teach you really practical, powerful strategies.
And talking to your regular doctor is important too.
Absolutely essential. First, to rule out any underlying medical conditions that might be contributing to the fatigue. Your doctor can also help manage severe symptoms, like intense anxiety or sleep deprivation, that might be barriers to using these other strategies.
Medication was also mentioned as a possibility.
Yes, and the point was made that medication, when it's needed and prescribed appropriately, shouldn't be feared. Sometimes it can be a necessary tool to help stabilize things, to get you to a place where you can engage more effectively with therapy or these self-care strategies.
Okay, one last little tip that popped up was volunteering. How does that fit in?
Yeah, it might seem counterintuitive if you're low on energy, but contributing to something larger than yourself can actually shift your perspective, give you a sense of purpose, connect you with other people, all things that can reduce stress and, surprisingly, boost your mental energy.
Okay, wow. We've covered a huge amount of ground there, from the basic science of a stress response right through to very practical, actionable strategies. Let's try and pull together the main takeaways from this deep dive.
I think the core insight really is that stress isn't just a feeling. It has this profound, real physical impact on our energy levels. It does this by keeping that ancient survival system stuck in high gear.
Right, that constant state of alert just relentlessly drains our physical and mental batteries, leading to that deep exhaustion and potentially even burnout.
But the really empowering message from all this is that you're not just a victim of this process. You're not powerless. There's this incredibly diverse toolkit available, drawing from all these different areas we discussed.
From those really simple, in-the-moment things like a few deep breaths or a mindful pause.
To the more consistent efforts, like really focusing on fueling your body well with good nutrition and hydration, making sure you incorporate regular movement, even small amounts.
And leaning on your social connections, talking things through, plus actively managing the stressors you can control, and knowing when to ask for help with the ones you can't.
It really does give you a sense of agency, doesn't it? You can actively influence this cycle. Acknowledging the stress is that critical first step, but then proactively and consistently weaving these different strategies together, nurturing your mind, fueling your body, staying connected, addressing the roots that seems to be the most powerful path towards genuinely recharging your energy, moving beyond just coping towards actually thriving.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. We often experience stress as something external, something that just happens to us and drains us. But as we've explored today, so much of its impact actually depends on how our bodies and minds react to it and how we choose to engage with it. So what if you started seeing stress not just as this burden you have to endure, but maybe as a signal, a powerful cue even, to actively deploy these self-care tools, these resilience-building strategies we've talked about? Could reframing it that way fundamentally change not just your daily energy levels, but maybe your whole capacity to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs? Something to think about.
Definitely something to consider.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.